Hello, and welcome to our demo video for SimNav. SimNav is a graphical user interface designed for displaying and navigating clone classes of Simulink models detected by the model clone detector Simone. As an embedded Simulink interface tool, SimNav allows model developers to explore detected clones directly in their own model development environment rather than a separate research tool interface. This demo assumes you've already downloaded the SimNav files and unzipped them to a known location on your machine, and that you have a licensed copy of MATLAB installed. First, in your MATLAB window, ensure that you've added the models folder and all of its subfolders to your path to ensure they can be found by the tool. Next, to start up SimNav, simply type SimNav in the command window and press Enter. We're now presented with the initial screen where we're presented the option to load a report. Here you can choose any report generated by Simone. For this demo, we'll use the provided example. Once a report has been loaded, the interface is populated with a number of controls and information from the report. The main portion of the interface is a table display which presents the identified clone information. The first column indicates a unique clone class ID, and the second, the similarity for that clone class. This is a percentage measure of how similar the clone instances are. The third column is the subsystem name where the subsystem clone has been detected, and the fourth column is the model file where that instance comes from. Now that you're familiar with what is displayed, we can begin to demonstrate some of the features of SimNav. You can select models by clicking on them, and they'll be highlighted in yellow. Alternatively, to select an entire clone class, click on the clone class ID. We'll begin by investigating clone class 2. Once you've selected the models you want to look at, click on the Open Selected button, and SimNav will open them to the desired location and tile them on the screen. This particular clone class has identified a library block, seen in the top left-hand corner, and two instances where these blocks have been used and connected in two versions of the model. Moving back to the SimNav window, we can close this selection by clicking Close All, and clear the selection by clicking Deselect All. We'll continue our investigation by scrolling down and looking at clone class 11. Clone class 11 has only two instances, and when we open them, they'll be tiled side by side on the screen. Here we see a model instance that is largely similar to the other instance, except for the inputs on the left-hand side. We'll now move back to the SimNav window and present another method for closing and deselecting the models. If you know you're going to be looking at another clone class, simply click on that clone class ID. It will close the models that are open, deselect them, and select that new clone class. That covers the basic functionality of SimNav. Now we'll present several of SimNav's filtering features. To begin, we'll deselect that selection and move to the top. The first type of filtering is based on clone types. Based on industry feedback, we were informed that it may be useful to investigate clone classes that contain clone instances from within the same model, or alternatively ones that contain only instances from across different models. This led to the filtering of external and internal clone classes. To demonstrate this, we'll scroll to the bottom. The last four clone classes, 15 through 18, present model instances from within the same model file. If we then go to the drop-down menu and choose External Only, filtering is performed. If we now scroll to the bottom, we'll see that those clone classes are no longer available since they contained internal only clones. Similarly, if we choose Internal Only, we're presented with only model clone classes where there are instances from the same model. They're also sorted such that you're able to identify easily which model they came from. For example, we see here clone class 12 consists of internal clones from a number of different models. They're all sorted by model name, so for example, if we choose Power Window 05, we can open up those two instances by selecting them and clicking Open Selected. Here now we found the Power Window control system for the validate passenger on the left and validate driver on the right. We see repeated blocks occurring in multiple locations within the same model. Now go back to the SimNav window, close these models, and deselect them. The final type of filtering available within SimNav is filtering based on clone class similarity. This too is a result of feedback from our industry partners, who suggested it may be interesting to remove some of the clone classes that are either too similar or too different. By adjusting the upper and lower bounds using the arrows, we can filter out clone classes of a particular similarity. For example, if we raise the lower bound to 75, we'll remove any of the clone classes that are below 75% similar. In this instance, we're only left with 4 clone classes. Similarly, we can reduce the upper threshold to remove those that are too similar. We can move this upper bound down to 90%, and we are again left with only 1 clone class. We are then able to switch back to the different clone type of internal and external, and it will present us internal and external clones between 75 and 90%. This concludes the demo of SimNav.